And dozens of new laws go into effect starting tomorrow, July 1st, including a law governing speed cameras in construction zones and a law that expands background checks for gun buyers. Among the many laws recently signed by Governor Ned Lamont is one that governs the use of speed cameras. A number of Connecticut cities and towns have experimented with red light and speed cameras. Now, the Connecticut Department of Transportation work zone safety initiatives will be permanent, going into effect Monday. You may remember the Department of Transportation had been using speed cameras in various work zones across the state to cut down on the number of drivers who exceed the speed limit there.
The law allows us to have up to 10 locations active at one time, so more than the 3 that we were permitted during the pilot program. So it's just going to take us a little bit of time to get the program developed and up and running.
This effort drawing more attention to construction worker safety after the death of Connecticut DOT worker 26-year-old Andrew D. Domenico, who was struck and killed by a car in Wallingford last week. Josh Morgan says this effort made workers feel safer on the job.
So there is a huge change in driver behavior when these cameras were active in our work zones. And we're so appreciative to the legislature, to the governor for supporting the program, for getting this signed into the law, because the men and women who are out there feel safer. The work zones are safer, speeds are slower, and it's good news for everybody.
While this law goes into effect starting Monday, he said it could be months before cameras are in work zones across the state.
We still need to do a request for proposal, put a program together, so these cameras won't be on the street in our work zones until 2025.
Another law that goes into effect will expand background checks when it comes to buying guns. A bill passed by the General Assembly last session will allow gun retailers both in and outside of Connecticut to access juvenile arrest records when obtaining a gun or transferring a license both to and from Connecticut.
It really is something that's in keeping with what was recommended by federal legislation, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. And that is in no way affect the sanctity or the privacy of minors' records, but makes it clear that if people have a violent past and are at risk of violence, that is known if they're applying to for a background check.
Now, these are just some of the new laws going into effect starting at midnight. You can find a complete list of all those laws on our website, fox61.com.